And welcome to John Peterson's Media World Extra. Today we're going to have kind of a potpourri of different subjects. We can kind of call it an idiocracy version of the show. We're going to start off with Marjorie Taylor Greene telling the story to Piers Morgan about her conversations with Trump. Very unsettling conversations with Trump. We already know that he's a madman, right? But we also know that he has a very big problem with malignant narcissism, which includes a whole bunch of different problems all by themselves. So we're going to get to what this guy truly is, a sociopath. And you'll understand it when we hear this conversation with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I was so upset over death threats on my children because of him, and the quotes and the death threat were from what the president had been calling me a traitor. And I'm not a traitor to my country. Standing up for rape victims doesn't make me a traitor. And I reached out to the president and to let him know this is what's happening because what you're saying about me. And he was very unkind about these death threats. And so that was our last exchange.
What did he say to you?
He basically blamed me. He had no compassion for death threats on my children. He blamed me basically that if my son were to get killed, it would be my fault.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all kind of stunned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I said back to him, I said, no one's children should ever be the victim of death threats or have any kind of political violence brought on them because of our politics, because of our disagreements. He had no compassion whatsoever.
What do you feel about that? I mean, you knew Donald Trump very well. You were very close to him. You were very friendly, supportive, and so on. To reach that point in your relationship, how do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I thought that tells me exactly who, it's like a nail in the coffin. It tells me exactly who Donald Trump is. Some of my biggest political enemies would never say that to me. Democrats that I may have had disagreements with in Congress would have never said that to me. No one's ever said those type of words to me. I don't know what kind of person basically has no compassion or care to someone's child being threatened to be killed. It's unimaginable.
I know what kind of person, a psychopath. And that's a perfect good example of what this guy is all about. The kind of concern he has for other people, the kind of concern he has for other countries, the people in those countries. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of know already. Yep. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene on Piers Morgan. We've got Piers, I believe, coming up in just a few moments again. Look, I'm not a big fan of Piers, but he has some great guests on, and they do say some very interesting things. Now let's get to Russell Vought, part of Project 2025, of course, and he's in control of doling out the dollars, the U.S. dollars to all of these different programs, the different departments, and he's not really doling out the programs. He's kind of holding on to the money. And that's not working out, at least for a few Democrats who question him on not funding departments and funding the government. Let's watch.
Joe Biden withheld.
Oh, for goodness sakes, can we please bring it back to my question?
Yeah,
it was
Biden
a yes or no question. Are you trying to get revenge against blue states because they did not support the president? Courts have said that, in fact, you did do that.
Partisan.
That, in fact, you are being vindictive. In fact, you are punishing because of political persuasions. It's not members of Congress who suffer when you do an end run around Congress. That's not what I'm angry about. It's not about you taking the power away from us. It's that it's their money. It's their power. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. The House is closest to the people. So when you do an end run around Congress, you're taking Americans' power.
You might have heard what he said in the beginning. Well, Biden didn't fund building the wall. Again, and I hate to remind him, of course, he's never going to hear this, But Biden promised not to pay for the wall. He ran on it. Mexico was supposed to pay for the wall. And if they didn't, the U.S. wasn't going to pay for the wall if Biden was president. He ran on it. And that is different from what Vought is doing. He's basically withholding funds from all these departments, all these research projects that are out there. This guy is stopping government all by himself, not Congress. So, yes, he's got a real big problem, and the Democrats are not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. You shouldn't be happy about it. All right. I think this is going to, this is something else. The people in charge of this country, you know, it seems like, I don't know if this is a conscious thing because Trump is not that smart, but I mentioned that he's a psychopath. He has sociopathic tendencies. Was it a conscious effort on his part to put sociopaths in his administration? Because it seems like every one of them doesn't care about the American public whatsoever, just carrying out the orders and duties of Trump. Well, Hegseth is one of those people, and he's also not the most brilliant bulb in the room. I want to play this cut for you. This is stunning stuff. This is the guy in charge of our military.
So the prayer is CSAR 2517, and it reads, and pray with me, please. The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of camaraderie and duty, shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother. And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
So that's crazy, isn't it? Quoting a movie, Pulp Fiction, and using the language from Pulp Fiction to quote the Bible. He reads it every day, I understand. All right. Now, he's really focused on religion. And I don't think that's the kind of person we want in the Department of War, at least for being a secretary of the Department of War. So he likes to quote the Bible. He likes to bring up the Bible. As I mentioned on this program before, he's a dominionist. He really wants the word of Christ and God to be global. That's it. Everybody is under Christianity. You can keep your religion, but the laws will be based on Christianity.
It's really notable today how he seems to be speaking in terms of a holy war. It's interesting, too, this coming on the same week that Trump depicted himself as Jesus. But the insinuation from Hegseth was that doubting Trump or being skeptical of the war is like doubting Christ. Mm-hmm. He's essentially making it sound like the question of the war is a question of the true will of God. He's doubling down on the blasphemy of Trump likening himself to Jesus. So as a Christian, I found it deeply offensive to hear this morning. As someone who wrote 2 books about Hegseth's old home, Fox News, it struck me as just really insecure. And as a journalist, I just find myself wondering, if you have such an amazing story to tell about military victories, why don't you tell it more fully? Why don't you share more video, open up more soldiers and airmen and Marines to interviews? Why don't you provide more access to the press in order to be able to tell those stories? He seems more inclined to use these press conferences to portray himself as a warrior in a battle of good versus evil, with the press being evil.
Now, again, this is a potpourri of a lot of different stories, and I want to get to something from another show of Piers Morgan, this time with Dr. John Gartner on. He is diagnosing Trump, the problem he has. I said he was a sociopath. Gartner actually has come right out and says he has all the qualifications of a malignant narcissist, and Piers Morgan, of course, may disagree just a little bit and think that Gartner is actually being partisan, didn't say anything when Biden was slipping away. Well, we'll see. Let's play this cut from Piers Morgan, and this is Dr. John Gartner.
The man is not compos mentis. Those who know him well say he wasn't the same man he was 4 years ago. But I believe that he is showing signs of dementia. A lot of doctors are saying that now. Dr. Vingupta has been saying it. And the nature of dementia is it doesn't get better. It doesn't stay the same. It gets worse. And the rate of decline accelerates. Now I think he's not the same man he was 4 weeks ago. We're watching his decline in real time accelerate. And it's really quite frightening because the type of dementia that we think he has, frontotemporal dementia, the main component is a lack of inhibition of aggressive behavior, as well as loss of memory and confusion. But because the frontal lobes, which are the brakes in our brain that give us judgment, that hold us back from acting out impulsively, that's the part that's deteriorating. So not only is he losing his capacity to understand and comprehend, but he's losing all internal inhibition. And that's why he's behaving in this more erratic and actually self-destructive way. In this, I mean, say tweeting against the Pope or cursing people out. That he's always been impulsive and aggressive.
I mean, he has attacked.
Now it's starting to show in a more extreme way.
He attacked Pope Francis. He's attacked individuals throughout his entire life as an adult, both as a real estate tycoon, as a TV star, as a politician. There's nothing unusual about any of that. I spoke to him on the phone 2 months ago, and he sounded for about 10 minutes exactly the same as the Donald Trump I've known for 20 years. So I'm not sure that I've personally seen any evidence of this dementia you're talking about. But I guess my question for you would be, did you express the same public warnings about Joe Biden?
Well, I think the difference was they were hiding Joe Biden from us. So we really
they weren't hiding him from us on television. I mean, I wrote a number of columns, for example, for the New York Post, in which I said there is clear evidence that Biden is suffering serious cognitive decline, which looks to me like the early onset of dementia. I did this repeatedly for 2 years. I'm not even a psychologist.
For 2 years, he did.
But I'm just curious whether you ever publicly expressed any concerns about Biden's cognitive ability while he was president.
Well, I think that we missed that one, to be honest, especially for those of us who didn't have close contact with him. But so
you saw nothing. Just to be clear, you saw nothing about Joe Biden in public life during the last 2 years of his presidency, which, as a psychologist, made you think he had any cognitive issues whatsoever.
Well, I think the shocking moment was the debate.
Yeah, the shocking moment was then. But let's get back to this. Those people that didn't like Joe Biden always bring this up. They saw the decline early on, 2 years before he left office.
Before the debate.
Right. Well, unlike Trump, who's so out there with his cognitive deficits, as I'm saying, I think that his handlers were doing a very good job of keeping him out.
Biden was talking to dead people in audiences. He was falling over all the time. He was talking complete gibberish half the time.
No, not
he looked
gibberish
to me
half the time.
Zombie-like for the last 2 years of his tenure.
No,
I
that's
suppose
not
the point
true.
I would make to you, Dr. Gartner,
That's not true.
It's hard to escape the suspicion that you are politically motivated rather than medically motivated, because for years...
Well, since he brought it up, I guess there is a suspicion,
right? Watched Biden's obvious cognitive decline unravel on the most public stage imaginable, but you've only piped up when it's Donald Trump, not when it was Joe Biden. So people are saying, come off it. They're watching this going, really? You didn't say a single word in public, but now you're trashing Trump all over the place? What do you say to those?
You know what he says? He gets back to the topic again and just ignores all of that.
I say that humanity is in the most dangerous moment now that's ever happened in human history, because the man who is president is a malignant narcissist who wants to assert his dominance and his grandiosity over the world. And as he's starting to cognitively deteriorate, he's attacking on an impulsive basis, based on the thrill he gets from destruction because he's a malignant narcissist, and based on his confused cognitive picture, so that he's acting on impulse. He's not acting on strategy.
Okay.
He can't tell us when, where, why, how. He says he knows it in his bones.
That's right. Yes.
And so no one can, there's no rhyme or reason to it, but now it relates not just to awkward comments or wandering away from ceremonies, right? But starting what potentially World War III. And this is happening now.
That's right. All right. I think he said it well and summed it up and completely ignored the Biden question completely. And I hope I made my case. I hope I was at least able to reach a few people who might have thought the same thing, that he was losing it, Biden was losing it. I don't think he was. He certainly did before that debate. We saw that. These declines can't happen very quickly, and who knows what he had done prior to that. All I can say is that I didn't see it 2 years in, okay? I didn't see it. So it was good that Dr. Gartner actually kept back to the subject matter and diagnosed Trump the way we should all be diagnosing if we're a doctor. Come on, let's not hold back on this thing. He's a dangerous guy. I got a perfect example, as a matter of fact. Let's get to this. This is on Fox News. Maria Bartiromo certainly can't correct Trump when he's completely wrong, and it's an obvious timeline distortion. You got to hear this.
Look what happens to Justice Ginsburg. She was not exactly a young woman. The election was taken. They had a Democrat who could have appointed a liberal justice, and the liberals do stick together. There's one thing about those justices. They stick together like glue.
Oh, not like the conservatives, no.
But she decided that she was going to live forever. And about 2 minutes after the election.
Yes. 2 minutes after the election. Oh, my God. That didn't work out for me at all. Oh, man, it's way down here, isn't it? It is. Okay, I had it all along. All right, let's do this.
Look what happens to Justice Ginsburg. She was not exactly a young woman. The election was taken. Mm-hmm. They had a Democrat who could have appointed a liberal justice, and the liberals do stick together. There's one thing about those justices. They stick together like glue, not like the Republicans.
That is so untrue, isn't it? We've seen the 6 conservative justices stick together like glue, right?
She decided that she was going to live forever. And about 2 minutes after the election, she went out, and I got to appoint somebody. So, you make the case that at a certain time, you give it up so that you can have a justice. The average is like 40 years. It's a long time. So that your ideology, your policies, your everything would be of the kind that we like. But it's probably not easy to give up for people, They reach a certain age. Ginsburg could not do it. And she really hurt herself within the Democrat Party. People are very angry at her because I got to appoint people instead of Biden.
So instead of Biden, right? The timeline, again, is wrong because Obama would have nominated someone, and instead they held up the nomination, and we had Trump do it. That's how I remember time. I don't know. Sifting sand. Now let's get to another topic. Here in Wisconsin, we have an individual who is a House member, a Republican. Of course, they have done absolutely nothing, just ceded their power to the president. So I don't know what he's running on exactly, but he's running like Donald Trump. Strangely enough, I know it's weird. He's got his platform. And this is a perfect example of that. He's blaming the Democrats in this state for a deficit that doesn't exist. He's unaware of that. He's blaming the state for having a bad economic outcome. It's not doing so well. But then again, the state has been in control. The purse strings have been in control of the legislature, which has been dominated and gerrymandered by the Republicans for the last 15 years. So he's inadvertently really trashing the Republicans. And I don't think they're even aware of that or not paying attention to his campaign, whatever. Well, now he's come out in favor of bombing Iran into oblivion. So let's get to that cut.
So we've seen diplomats speak for decades, 47 years, in regards to Iran and trying to seek to a resolution to what Iran has brought to the Middle East, which is destabilization. And they've spoken in that diplomatic speak, and it has not worked.
It would have worked if we just stayed in the agreement that we made, Obama and Iran. But Trump took us out of that, and I hear talk now that whatever Trump wants to do now with Iran, at least make some kind of agreement, it's going to look very much like Obama's agreement with Iran.
Been successful. I mean, these are people who are terrorists. They understand harsh language. They understand tough language. They are not like we, the American people.
Wow. Okay. They are completely different. And he is talking about the public. All right. And you can see the writing there. Well, what do you think? That's Tom Tiffany taking on the Trump campaign as a way to get to be governor in Wisconsin. Good luck with that one. All right. This has been an idiocracy version of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's always fun when you have idiots like this to play around with. We'll be back again. Hope you have a good time. See you later.